Okay, thank you very much for coming, everyone. My name is Rachel McCune. I am part of Developing Young Workforce Dundee and Angus, and we have co-organised this event with Dundee and Angus College. So, what have I got? There we go. So it's Digitay. The whole reason that we've got this event is that digital is the fastest growing industry in Scotland. That is a fact. They have some of the fastest growing salaries in Scotland. That is also a fact. So Laura, can I ask you to do me a favour and click on with the mouse just at the edge of the screen? There we go. And I think there's a bit of a disconnect about what digital industry is and what qualifications you need, what skills you need, and what pathways into that career there are. So we've helped to organise this event to bring teachers, parents, SDS, support workers, anyone who wants to support young people and encourage them into a career in digital. We're here to kind of answer as many questions as we can. And you know, it's fine and dandy for me to stand at the front and spout out facts and figures from the government, but that doesn't actually tell you much. So this evening we've brought speakers from Cortex Worldwide, who are an international company based in Edinburgh, and MTC Media, again an international website company based in Dundee, and they're going to speak about their own experiences so that when you are speaking to young people, you can give them truthful, relevant, contextualised knowledge, not just something that you heard off the internet. So why are we doing this? As I say, Developing Young Workforce, we are all about encouraging young people to seize the opportunities in front of them. If you can see behind us, the research proves that the more engagement young people have with employers, the more likely they are to have a fulfilling career, to achieve their own personal potential, whatever that is. So wrong way, there we go, sorry. I spend my day going out and organising opportunities for young people to engage with professionals of lots of different sectors. We advertise the apprenticeship family, so that is foundations, which are new and young people can do while they're still at secondary school, modern apprenticeships everyone's very familiar with, and the new graduate apprenticeships. You do not have to have a graduate degree to do this apprenticeship. You get your graduate degree. So you go for work for a company and you go to university 1 day a week. You end up with your bachelor's degree whilst getting paid. And Rowan from Cortex is actually doing that himself, and he's going to speak about that a little tonight. We try to dispel all the myths and the stereotypes and encourage young people to see the potential that's there for them and encourage those that support them to do so in a way that's relevant and useful. So that's why I'm here tonight. I have brought along these lovely people, and they have the expertise and they're going to share that with you. So Laura Louch from Dundee and Angus College is going to speak to you now about what they can offer your young person.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Laura Louch. I'm Workforce Development Leader for the Computing and Creative Media Department at Dundee and Angus College. So part of my job is to work with employers and schools and universities to make sure that we can give opportunities to not only our students, but students from schools, and give them opportunities to go on placements and be industry ready when they leave either school, college or university. So I'm going to do an introduction into some careers in the digital field, and also give you an overview of the courses that we offer at the college. So obviously most of you will know, if you're involved in technology, the digital sector is important to everybody just now. It's important in careers, it's important in our leisure life. Everything that we do is related to technology. There's over 90,000 people employed in technology, and they're projecting that there'll be 12,800 jobs every year coming up. And I think it's quite important that technology is important to Scotland, but Dundee is actually recognised as one of the 3 technology hubs in Scotland, bringing in billions to the sector. This is Dundee facts alone. So there's 3,500 digital jobs. There's been 34 start-up companies in the digital field. The average salary is 36,000, which is 30% increase than the average salary in Scotland. And you can see that Dundee is actually booming with the games sector and all the different other digital sectors in the area. They have projected that the digital technology sector is the fastest growing up to 2024, and as you can see, I think Rachel already mentioned the salary there, it's way above the national average. Sorry, I keep going the wrong way. Okay, so I think what's most important to notice is that jobs in technology aren't just related to the digital field. People who are skilled in digital, only 40% of them work for technology companies, 60% are actually in everyday businesses, normal businesses, small businesses. And some of the biggest companies, such as retailers, are actually recognising that they need to do more with their staff to upskill them and train them. They're not going to be the same jobs that there were years ago. Obviously, the most demand, you would have probably heard, cybersecurity, data analysts, programmers, digital marketing. But I think what's really important is that we're all going to need some of these skills in every job in the future. So we need to make sure that we're training young people to have knowledge about security, problem solving and creativity, because we're going to need them for every job. So what are we doing to kind of tackle this? So Dundee and Angus College are working with employers in the area to make sure that our students are industry ready and that we are teaching the right skills in college. I'm not sure if many of you noticed when you were walking along the corridor, we have themed classrooms sponsored by local industry. So we have NTC, who are here tonight as well, Ninja Kiwi, Microsoft, Cisco. They come in and help our students with workshops. They give talks, but they also input to our curriculum as well to make sure that we are teaching industry relevant qualifications. We have an advisory group that keep us in line with the labour market intelligence. They make sure that we have technical skills to meet the industry requirements. They support us to create a talent of pipeline to all these businesses. So NTC have input into our classes and pick the best students to work in their workforce in the future. This is a bit confusing, but this is actually a pathway of all our courses at the college. So it was just to give you an idea of what we introduce here. So we cover networking, software development, games development.
Is this the parents for the next door kids?
Hi, grab a seat. We cover games development, digital design and web development, and HNC computing across 2 campuses. We also have an entry-level course which every single person gets an interview for. It doesn't matter what qualifications they have or experience. We try to give everyone an opportunity, and this gives them an introduction into all areas. We've also introduced a new cybersecurity HNC for next year. That'll be starting next summer, and also a technologies and business part-time degree, which will be upskilling workforces. Hi. So I'm the course leader for the Schools Links courses as well. I'm not sure how many of you are from secondary schools here. You might recognise that we offer a suite of college courses to school pupils. And these fit in with the school timetable. So in Gardyne campus they get time on a Monday and a Wednesday afternoon, and Arbroath campus a Friday morning. So next year we're offering a whole new suite of NPA on level 5 and level 6. Introducing cybersecurity, hardware, web, games, digital marketing and software development. And this is so that we could feed either to our full-time courses or to university courses. We also offer 3 foundation apprenticeships covering software, hardware, creative and digital, and we also line up the placements for these as well. So all students undertaking these qualifications get a chance to have a placement with an employer as well. And for the higher level students, we also offer an HNC over 2 years. And we've factored this around computer networking and ethical hacking. So any 4th or 5th year pupil can come and do an HNC and gain access straight into 2nd year of university. We also offer Code Academy, so next door, some of the children are next door doing a taster workshop, and we've changed this for this year to make sure that it's certificated and that children can get the relevant skills needed. They could use this in Duke of Edinburgh Award, for any volunteering. They can use it to get into college or university, and this is an evening class. And this is just some of our classes that have been in the past. And it was just to let you know, you could go next door now if you want to have a go at programming or robotics or anything, and we're all going to get a chance to go in as well. So this was kind of an overview of everything that we offer, trying to cater for all levels and age groups. But obviously if anybody's got any questions later, I could go into more detail. I'm not sure who's next.
Alex.
No, I should have just done the
Which way? No, that way.
yeah, the bottom one.
Bottom one. Hi everyone, my name's Alex. I'm an SEO specialist at MTC. I'm quite glad I saw that. I feel like I've definitely picked the right industry now to be working in. So I'll give you a little bit of a background on me. So I actually done a HNC at the college in advertising and PR, and then from that I got an apprenticeship with Laura. So I was working in the college's marketing department doing a digital marketing qualification, and then from that about 6 months ago I started working at MTC as an SEO specialist. So I'll just go into sort of some of the roles that we offer at MTC and how you can kind of get into the industry as well. So MTC, they're a top 20 Google agency, and that is based on all the sites that we make have to go through a certain type of criteria, and they all get rated based on that. So that's obviously quite a good thing that we've got. So we're 19 years in the web, and we've got 120 in-house digital experts, and we've got offices in Dundee, Edinburgh, Manchester, Riga, and we've got a new office open in Aberdeen in January. So yeah, lots of expansion and definitely continue to grow. So these are some of the brands that we work for. So the top ones really like Peter Vardy, Brewdog, Hilton, Superga, Umbro, Scottish Water, and this just keeps growing. We're getting a lot of really exciting clients and really fun projects to work on. So the thing that we always ask people to remember with working in tech is when you're working on people's websites, doing their digital marketing, that these all have tangible results. You know, these are people's businesses, this is the economy, these all have a big effect on people's livelihoods, and it's not just about, you know, working behind a screen, it's creating opportunities in the real world. Oh. Sorry, I'm clicking the wrong thing, there we go. So this is a sort of the life cycle, if you like, of how clients will come to us. So it starts off with like potential, we'll go into like the planning phase, then the design phase, testing, development, the launch of a website, marketing, and then reporting of that. And then from that we'd hope to keep a relationship going with the client and doing this. And there's somebody for each of these roles. So the first area would be sales. So even if you don't think, you know, my child or somebody that you know isn't like tech savvy, then there's loads and loads of careers in the industry. So sales is one of them. So definitely to have like a sort of outgoing personality and being able to chat to people. Most of the sales that we have are inbound, so 95% inbound, and it's also like qualifying leads and stuff as well. So plenty that you can do within that. Then you've got the project planning aspect of it. So they'll be the people who meet with the clients and deal directly with the rest of the team. So they'll have to be really good planners, obviously, really good communicators and organising meetings and stuff too. Designing UX, so that is the people who actually design the website. So what we do a lot of the time is doing, where are we? So we'll create like customer profiles. So this is this here, yeah. So create like customer profiles, and from that we'll maybe do like little workshops and all that sort of stuff as well. The development, so we've got two sides of development. There's front end development, which is this one. So that is actually what you'll see on the screen and the function of it. Then you've also got the back end, so that'll be, you know, taking payments, all that sort of stuff as well. This is a something that's been thrown in by one of our developers. So digital marketing, so this is what I do. So search engine optimization, does anyone know what that is? It's always fun when there's no one. So search engine optimization, so basically I guarantee you'll all do it every day. Google, everyone use Google, know how to use Google. So if you were to search, for example, best places to eat in Dundee, it'd be my job to make sure that any my restaurant that I'm working for, that client would come up at page 1 first result. So that's what search engine optimization is. So there's loads of ways that you can do that. There's also, you'll see in the search engine results, there'll be like one that says ad. You noticed that before? So that is also what we do as well, and that's called pay-per-click. So search engine optimization, there's loads of things that can cause a site to not appear well in Google, and that is such as like your site speed, social signals, metadata, you won't know what that is, leave that, and content. And then pay-per-click, so that's just this here. And that is actually using like a bidding strategy as well. So again, you've got to be quite creative for that. It's not exactly totally tech orientated, but it's quite a fun thing that you get to do. And then we do social advertising too, so that'll be getting to be a bit more creative, using the likes of Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, all of them. And yeah, you get to target your Facebook stuff based on like age, gender, location. So yeah, it's really good. It's quite like targeted advertising, and one of the best things about it is you can actually analyse it. So as opposed to traditional marketing, where it was maybe like a newspaper advert that went out and you could really directly tell if it was impacting sales. With this, we can tell straight away. So as soon as an ad has gone live, we can tell, yeah, that's working really well, or if it's not, then pull it down very quickly, which is quite good. And that's what it looks like for us to see. So the role is MTC, so business development, so that's your sales, project manager, operations manager, account manager, designer, front end and web developer, SEO specialist, PPC, and social media specialist, and much more as well. We've got people in help desk and server analysts and everything, so there's plenty of roles in the industry that are not just software specialists and tech and whatever there is. And routes to MTC as well. So there's quite a lot of routes to MTC, like the college, university, apprenticeships, work experience and freelance, and just showing genuine interest. One of the things that we'll always say is if you've got people in your class who are interested, reach out to businesses. If you think they might be good at like running a business's social media, then just ask them, can I do this for you for free? Like, they can only ever say no, and it's a great way to get experience. That's me. There you go.
Hi, I'm Rowan and I work with Peter at Cortex. He's the CEO. So I just thought I'd give you a quick rundown of essentially my path in apprenticeships and everything, all the options out there. So I started through high school, finished in 2015, then went straight into university the same year to Glasgow Cali. I had offers from Edinburgh Napier and Cali, and I decided I wanted to move away from home. That inevitably fell on its face. I decided that I didn't want to do uni, it wasn't the right learning style for me, but I did enjoy I was doing a degree in computing, but I only really enjoyed doing programming. So I dropped out that year and then got an apprenticeship in January 2016 with Cortex, and I've been there since. And essentially my path from there is I've gone from programming to project management to QA to project management and sales. So I've taken many different turns, some of them dead ends, but I've essentially landed myself the job that I'm passionate in now. And what happened when I started in Cortex is we were we offered to do a government apprenticeship, essentially, which is, you saw that chart, it was like an SCQF level 5. So we've done that initially, but then Cortex wanted us to develop our skills further. Moved on to an SCQF level 8, I believe. There's loads of abbreviations, you'll get muddled up. And on top of that, going down the programming route, this was still in the programming time of my life, there's MTAs, which is a Microsoft qualification, so I got 3 of them, and then finally an MCP, which leads towards an MCSD. Now all of this means nothing to you, but it's essentially just programming qualifications that are industry standards, which this college, I believe, is gearing pupils up towards getting industry standards. So that's what Cortex is really pushing for. So then, after getting all those qualifications in programming and going down the right path for the company, I decided to jump ship and move to QA, which is essentially still in the same sort of techie industry. It's just checking people's code rather than coding it myself. And there I really got to grasp the end-to-end process of our product, which then essentially geared me up for project management and sales. So from there, I've gone and done a Prince 2 course, which I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, but it's an industry standard in project management. So some of the challenges I faced when doing that and the university degree, because I go 1 day a week now, is essentially time management. And that's what you're going to hear across the board, is that managing your time is extremely difficult. And when deadlines are hitting you for uni, for essays, for exams, and you've got an exam for Prince 2, and you've got work deadlines, it all mounts up. But luckily, you know, just having the right support systems around you and choosing the right job that fits you and trusting your boss and trusting your employers, I was able to just go to them and just be like, look, I'm struggling, I need more time, I need more leeway. And I fortunately, plus a lot of extra work, I was fortunately able to, well, I'm getting the results back from my uni exams, but I imagine I've passed. Let's just say that for the talk. Definitely passed my uni, and I passed my Prince 2, and I'll hopefully not get fired for dropping some of the work stuff that I had to do. So it's been a long road, and yeah, definitely doing the GA apprenticeship has allowed me to be reintroduced into sort of the academic side of things rather than going through the apprenticeship route. And if you're able to encourage kids to go and do that, then absolutely, because uni isn't for everyone. It certainly wasn't for me, and when I dropped out, I thought that was me closing the door on it. And I was happy with that. I was happy with my decision, because I was working in a company I enjoyed, doing a thing I love. And yeah, now I'm doing it again. I've reignited my passion for learning, or learning academically in a classroom, and just on the job. And essentially at the end of it, I'm going to come out with 4 years of experience. Well, it'll be more now, but if you start through a GA apprenticeship, it'll be 4 years of experience and 4 years, and a degree, sorry, which is going to set you miles above anyone else going to university. And there's many other benefits of doing a GA apprenticeship. It's funded by Skills Development Scotland, so it's free. I have no student debt, and in fact, I'm in the fortunate position at the moment where, because I've worked my way up through the company, I'm earning an alright salary, I was able to get out a mortgage, and I've recently just bought my own flat, which you don't see any uni students doing. So there has been sacrifices in that. I don't have as good a social life, but I mean, ultimately it's all going to come back around, and everyone else is going to be in the same position I'm in, except I've done it a bit earlier. But honestly, GA apprenticeship is it's going to push me leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else after these 4 years. I'm only in my second year now, but once I get there, it's going to really propel my career, and I don't think anyone else is going to get that coming through uni. They're going to be starting from where I've already been. But that's it. Do you want to say anything?
Round was a social experiment for me, actually. We've got 6 apprentices, and we've got another 3 kids doing industry standards. And I did an apprenticeship actually in 1985. 1986 I joined GEC Marconi, and I did tech, I did computer science and electronic engineering, and it gave me a lifestyle I didn't know existed. I was lucky enough, I joined Microsoft in 1995 when there was 12,000 employees, and when I left there was 200,000. And we spun this company out of Microsoft. So we started it. We only had 7 staff when you joined.
Yeah, I was the 8th.
The 9th was better. But, we had a guy, Ryan, who was much better than him actually. He's left in the office doing work because he can. And he's here. But no, we've been really lucky. So these MCPs, the Microsoft Certified Professionals, are actually really difficult to do. They're a really high standard. One of our guys has got a master's in high performance computing, and we need these for accreditation, because we're a Microsoft partner, and you need the MCPs for accreditation. So I sent one of our top developers, Peter Sanderson, to sit the exam because we needed so many passes, and he only passed by 1%. You know, which he got a real hard time about. I just thought he would fly through it. So they're not easy by any means, and either's Prince 2, so it's quite smart. So we've been really lucky. So we started a company 4.5 years ago. I had an idea to build a software platform when I was at Microsoft. I was working in Seattle, and you were talking about the average salaries in here in Scotland is 36,000. In Seattle, the average salary for a senior developer is $165,000, which is nearly £165 after Brexit. But so the industry is massive, right? And it's global. And I've not applied for a job since I started, and it's all been headhunted. You know, so the ability to just move on and progress is phenomenal. And I mean, when I joined Microsoft, you know, I was just a junior guy, and I was able to get up through the ranks and ended up a really senior director within the organisation. With I think it's about 6,000 staff working for me at the end. But you know, it's massive. You know, and one of the things we do all the time is just hire, and we're interviewing all the time, and we can't get the staff. There's it's a global glut just now of it, and I would urge anyone to look at software development, because it's not geeky, you know, like people think it is. It's very interactive. You know, software development's a very social thing. You know, we actually, a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to work from home. I don't really like people working from home. I hate it, because it's, you know, you need interaction. Fine, we're flexible, you know, but I mean, the kind of things I've got to do as an employer to make sure we attract the staff. Everyone, you've got private medicine, everyone's got private, everyone, our whole company's got private medicine. We've got critical illness cover. If somebody has a stroke, for instance, God forbid, they've got 60% of their salary until they die. You know, so we've got insurances, and that's the kind of thing we've got to do in this industry to attract the right staff, because it's so competitive as an employer, you know, not as looking for jobs. So, you know, I would urge anyone to look at it, and the apprenticeship scheme that we've been running, we actually were lucky. We won the Apprentice Employer of the Year a couple of weeks ago in Scotland for companies under 1,000 people. You know, and that's despite having people like Rowan working for us. But you know, and we've got it across the board. So one of the guy that does cybersecurity as an apprenticeship for us, you know, he'd been 9 years as an infantry soldier. You know, and so he'd never thought he'd ever go back to university. So he's gone back to university. And one of the things we found of our staff, we don't hire, you know, the super smartest all the time. You know, that's not what we're hiring. We're hiring the people with the right attitudes, you know, the right aptitude and attitude. And our apprentices have had higher marks than the full-time students across the board. You know, so the politicians come and see us all the time, and they're not just doing, you know, what we ask with regards to 4 days work plus the degrees, as Revan said. They're doing Prince 2, MCPs, NTAs, and also they've either got to be a fire warden or a first aider. You know, so they're getting kind of life skills, you know, and so that, yeah, I mean, if you've got any questions, if you want to ask anything about it, just ask us, you know, because the kids will never be unemployed if they're going down this route. Cybersecurity, software development, project management, literally there is a glut, you know, and we are struggling to hire the staff. You know, we're looking at going to South Africa and Lisbon to hire people, because there's just not enough people here. So, you know, and one of the things you'll find is if they do the apprenticeship scheme, the salaries go up quite quickly. You know, I think we start 14. I think we start. 15.
I started on 12, so I don't know what you're talking about.
The good ones start on 14, and then very quickly they go up. You know, so you know these guys will be kind of in the 30s by the time they're 23, 24. You know, so we accelerate their salaries very quickly. You know, so they don't have any student loans. They don't use any SAS for the degrees. So it goes through Skills Development Scotland. So if they finish, then they're able to go and use SAS for their masters or PhDs. If you get talented ones, you know, we won't have that problem with, as I said, with Revan. But if they want to go on to do further education, you know, post the degree, then they've still got 5 years of SAS available to them as well. So I would urge anyone to do it. And we started the company, you know, as I started it was just kind of on my own, and there were 35, 36 staff. Our wage bill is about £110,000 a month. You know, we don't have any Scottish clients. Everything we've got is in the US. So you know, we've not been selling for 2 years actually. We've had enough clients, and we just wanted to kind of keep things, because we're building a product and we wanted to get the product finished, but it'll be finished in a couple of months. And once that's finished, then we're going to start to scale our business really quickly, and we'll be hiring like crazy. So if anyone got any questions about paths or, you know, yeah, we'll answer anything. There's no slides either. I've worked for Microsoft for nearly 20 years. PowerPoint's the last thing I want to touch. No questions? Oh, okay. That's good.
So that actually leads very nicely into what we were going to do next, was just an open floor discussion if anyone did have any questions about the college pathways or link courses, about modern apprenticeships, about graduate apprenticeships, foundation apprenticeships, anything to do with the digital tech industry. If we don't have the answer for you, we can definitely try and find out before the end of this evening. So do we have any questions for any of our lovely speakers? No? Yeah?
How do you dispel myths that it's only for geeks?
Okay, I'm going to repeat that, not because it's Galaxy Quest and the computer won't listen to you. That was clearly a very niche joke, sorry. But so that we can pick it up on the live stream for later. So the question is, how do we dispel myths and stereotypes about this, can you have to be a geek to work in the industry? Anyone want to take that one?
Sure, I mean, come in our office, you'll soon see. No, but it's across, but it's many things, right? It's not just software development, right? That's just a small part of the industry. You know, there's project management. So if you think about building a product and taking it to market, there's the first bit's product definition, right? The what you're going to build. You know, that's more kind of business capabilities, business deliverables. You know, you're building software to do something, right? It's not just lines of code. It's actually, you know, an application or a thing that somebody's going to use. So what are you going to build? The next bit is how you're going to build it, which is again not software development, right? It's the actual architecture and the ability to run. So if you look at the stuff we run massive global websites, right? I mean, we run Microsoft websites for them from Edinburgh. You know, we get hundreds. When we do the launch for Windows and Surface, so it's 120 million hits, you know, in one day. So it's quite a lot of traffic. So it's the architecture. So how you're going to run that? That's, you know, more kind of infrastructure design, and then you've got the build and test, which is, you know, software development, and then you've got the testing side. And then you've got the pre-production testing, right, which is like, you know, how it's going to run and how you're going to service clients, so there's client interaction. And then the last bit is pure service delivery, which is actually a lot of kind of project management and client engagement. So it's, you know, the industry is very broad. And then you've got the security specialists, you know, and then you've got the marketing guys. We've got to tell the story of what the product does, you know, so it's across the board. And then you've got the translators to turn it into lots of languages. So it's very broad actually, but, you know, so there's lots of different parts. I mean, that's from our experience. You guys are pretty similar.
Yeah, I'd probably try and talk to especially kids in a way like they're going to understand it. So, you know, like Facebook platforms, Snapchat, all these sort of things, like these were built by, you know, software specialists and then people like me, marketers, we then use that, and it's how to find a way to connect it to what they're doing just now. That's what I would say really. I mean, I thought it was quite good when I was doing my apprenticeship, like when I was working at the college, I got to design like their Snapchat filter, and when I did my apprenticeship ambassador thing and was like speaking to the kids, it was quite good to speak to them, like the younger kids about, and it's just connecting, you know, these things that we're doing, that is actually, you know, the things that they're using, like Snapchat and Facebook and Instagram and all that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, I would maybe just try and connect those as well. And like you said, just go to the office. We're having our Christmas party on Friday, and it's definitely not full of geeks. It's definitely not.
Snapchat's a good example actually.
Yeah.
So the guy that runs analytics and data for Snapchat is a guy called Sam Mullender. Sam used to work for me actually, and he joined me as a graduate. 10 years ago, I think 12 years ago now. You know, and the first job I put him into, he did the analytics and data for eBay, and then eBay hired him, and then he went from eBay to Snapchat. You know, so it's like, it's quite a small industry actually, yeah. You know, so, but you know, you very quickly see, you know, as I say, it is about interaction. You tend to find the geeky ones, like when you get the geeky ones that are sitting in their they're not proper software engineers, right? They're just people playing at it, you know, and then, you know, because no, it's too social for that, right? If you look at building a software product, you know, with millions of lines of code, it takes years and years, and it's got to be properly planned. It's not, you know, this little kind of, I'm really good at, and that's not really what it's about anymore. Yeah. You know, it's proper engineering, you know, and it's big projects.
I think things like the ambassador apprenticeship program as well, like Rowan coming and talking to young people about their personal experience. I always think that's far more useful than some expert standing up and telling you, well, this is going to be great, blah, blah, blah. But we've had our modern and graduate apprenticeships involved in that with yourselves, and that's really been, well, feedback of that is they've really enjoyed it, they've got a lot out of it, but it's also been useful to secondary school pupils and parents and other things as well. It's a first-hand experience of what it's like.
Yeah, that's definitely something Cortex helps out with. We've been approached by Skills Development Scotland to go out and talk about GA apprenticeships and how it can benefit pupils. And we've maybe done three or four talks now in different high schools just in the local area, and there's been nothing but good feedback. So you're 100% right, yeah.
I think there's something happens as well when they get to high school, because I'm a primary teacher and I have loads of kids in school that are interested in digital technology and that kind of thing, but then, and it's like sporty kids and kids from all different kinds of backgrounds, and then there seems to be something happens when they get to secondary school, they're like, oh, I'm too cool for that.
Too cool for that.
So
yeah, again, I'm just repeating a little bit so that we can get it on the live stream for future use, but I think it is very much we need to bring the real world into the classroom throughout primary and secondary, and you know what, not to toot my own horn, but that's what I get paid to do. You know, developing young workforce is here to support education, support teachers, support young people, and it is very much, there are so many myths, and I think that's exactly what you're saying. At primary school, digital is fun, coding is fun, there is lots of support put in place, and then when you get to secondary school level, all these, you have to be a guy to work in coding, and girls only make cups of tea. All these kind of stereotypes that we think we've gotten rid of seep through the cracks, and also you're not playing at coding, you're having to get a qualification in it, and it's not as fun. It can still be as fun, I think. You know, Dundee and Angus College are doing a lot to change that here, and the link courses that they offer to secondary schools, we are trying to change that. We are trying to bring industry and the real world into school, but we need education to work with us as well. And there's some really good links happening at the moment, but we can continue to grow that. And yes, definitely, contact your local companies, ask to pop in, ask to get a speaker out to see you. Use Marketplace and Founders for School, which are online platforms that are open to teachers. You can use them to get businesses in and dispel those myths and stereotypes.
But people need to be kind of honest about it as well, right? Because the salaries are off the charts. I mean, they are, right? I mean, it's like, I remember when I was in Seattle, you know, the wages were massive, you know, absolutely massive. And I find it difficult sometimes because I never moved full time. I commuted to Seattle for 8 years because my wife is close to her grandmother, and she didn't want to move, so I kind of did 2 weeks in Seattle and 2 weeks here. We used to have a great 2 weeks in Seattle, and then I'd come home again. You know, and I remember you used to come back and you'd talk about things you were doing in work, and you'd go, you better not talk about this, you can't talk about that, oh, we live in Fife, oh, they all think you're, you know, showing off. That's what I'm doing, you know? And, you know, so the young kids can get, and it's not like other industries, right? Young kids get paid lots of money really, really quickly, you know? And it's like, you know, you give people pay rises, and you give them big pay rises, 10-15% pay rise, and they're going, well, that's not enough. You know, you're kind of, that is our industry, right? And, you know, I've had discussions when I was, you know, before I started my own company, when I had a lot of staff, you know, they would come in and they'd say, right, I want to get 120,000 a year, and we were paying them 80. You know, and it'd be like, I want 120 grand. So like, okay, we pay you 80 because I've been offered 120. I went, well, we'll take it, but I want to work here. Well, you work here, you know, I want 120 grand, but we'll go and get the 120 grand, right? And that was the kind of discussions we would have, and people need to be honest about that, right? So young kids going into this industry, you know, you start pretty low to begin with, but the wages go up pretty quick, you know? So, you know, it's embarrassing to talk about this actually, but the careers are there, and I was up in a council estate in Fife, and I actually didn't go on a plane until I went for my first interview when I was 16 years old. And after that, you know, there was a world out there I didn't even know existed, you know, and I remember going back to Woodmill High School, because I went to Woodmill in Dunfermline, and I offered them £250,000 worth of software when I worked for Microsoft, and they said they didn't want it because the IT guy didn't like Microsoft, you know. She'd been sacked and he was an idiot, but you know. But so my old guidance teacher, Mrs. Tree, was at Queen Anne High School in Dunfermline, so I went up there and gave it to her. You know, they could have had among the best infrastructures in the school. You know, and that's the kind of thing that you can start to do. So anyway, that's by the by. Just go into IT.
I am now seriously reconsidering my life choices. But you know, our young people are still young enough that they can develop the soft skills that you obviously need to work in this industry. You can develop the technical skills through apprenticeships, through university, on the job, whatever suits you. But the jobs are there, our young people are there. It's a match made in heaven. I think we really should be encouraging people towards it. Do we have any other questions? Oh, yes.
I was wondering about
Oh.
the age. You go first. I was wondering about the age, you know, the apprenticeships.
We've taken them, sorry, we've got them from, who's the youngest? Monica.
Yeah, well, we were born in the same year, but yeah, she's young.
No, but we started, when you joined you were 18, right?
Yeah.
Right, we've had somebody join when they were 27, 28 coming out of the forces.
Right, okay.
So, and they're all going to university.
And that's something you see reflected in your university courses. There's people way older than me, like close to retirement, sitting in these university courses, just like there for themselves to prove that they can do it. And people are like, it's just a wide variety of different ages.
Yeah.
I'm an assessor for modern apprenticeships, so they are full-time but go to a lower level than the graduate apprenticeships. My youngest is 16, my oldest is 58. So it could be any age above 16. Some employers go with the 16 to 19 age bracket, but the qualification can actually be for anyone above the age of 16.
Yeah, and companies like ours don't just do the apprenticeships, right? So one of the young girls that works for us, she had a degree in hospitality and hotel management, I think, and she was working in a more administration role for us. And she came back and she said she was interested in doing HR. So rather than going and hiring an HR person, we are now putting her through a degree equivalent. I don't really know what the qualification's called, but it's the degree equivalent industry CDIPT something. CIPD, that's it, right? So she's away doing the CIPD course for HR. You know, one of the other ones wanted to do facilities management, so she's doing the Institute of International Facilities Management. And one of the girls actually, one of the girls wanted to get more into the marketing side, so she was doing the facilities management side, wanted to do marketing, so she's now doing the marketing equivalent. And then we've got somebody doing international facilities management, you know, so it's all about whole life learning for us.
Yeah.
Potential is very, very vast.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, I've got a daughter in second year, so she's just about to do choices. She does computing, she really likes it. She doesn't feel that she can do it, as long as her computer teachers are a woman. But what, apart from computing, what other subjects would somebody be recommended
Maths.
to take?
Okay. So, what other subjects? Maths, English, anything else?
Many creative subjects,
Yeah.
so a lot of design comes into everything now.
Actually, good point.
So yeah, we
Psychology.
Creative industries, any of the creative industries.
The only problem with art is art takes up so much of their time. I found art. I think art takes up a lot of time for kids. I think art, you know, the actual the portfolios and stuff, it eats up lots of time. You know, and it's very subjective. But
You would look for something mathematical as well.
Maths. Yeah,
maths
maths.
come into all our courses
Yeah,
as well.
maths.
I
Maths is
think
the key.
a lot of students don't realise that, so we have a lot of games students,
Yeah.
and they don't realise that maths is such a big factor, and that's what most of them fail on.
It's a structure. Maths kind of gives a structure for it, you know. But it's also storytelling as well, because writing code is like telling stories, so it's about the structure.
I think soft skill wise, the main thing we get from employers is communication.
Yeah.
So anything that can help communication skills is
What about that?
I think one of the best things to do is get your kids to go to debating societies and stuff like that. You know, that's
what I
pretty
did,
good.
yeah.
The debating
Makes all the
society's really good.
difference.
And also, I think.
Do you look for any things, because you said things, or things like Saltire Awards, or, because obviously she's too young
Duke
to
of
do
Edinburgh.
anything like a modern apprentice, but.
All right. So the other things we look for is like I like people who've done Duke of Edinburgh and stuff like that. You know, because that's really it makes
You're
a
out
good.
there, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good.
So there are absolutely loads of different qualifications that young people can do from first year up. So you have your Saltire Award, there's the Youth Scotland Awards are very, very good, and you can tailor that to suit your own strengths. There are game jams, you know, Dundee and Angus run them. They are all over the country, and it's, again, that'll be your communication, your skills, as well as something a little extra to put on your CV and say, I've got experience of working under pressure.
So there's one other thing actually, I forgot about this. I got it when I was young. Get the Mavis Beavis. It used to be Mavis Beavis touch typing. Is that what it's called? You still do that?
Yeah.
Teach them to touch type. Yeah, I know it used to be called Mavis B, was touch typing, but learning to touch type saves so much time because everything now is all to be typed, and if you can touch type and you can bang out a document in no time whatsoever, it saves you an inordinate amount of time. You know, because there's no point in sitting and writing something, 2 fingers and take you 10 hours to write something you could do in half an hour. You're wasting your time. So touch typing is absolutely critical. Actually, I think anyway. It saves you millions and millions of time.
Okay, question
I
here.
think it's really interesting that computing is almost becoming the subject that you don't want to have to go into computing. It's probably everything else you need to look at. So that's really fascinating. I was going to ask. You said there's a glut at the moment, and there's probably an ongoing glut for the future. What's the kind of gap that you're seeing? Is it applicants not applying, or the applicants that are applying just don't have the skills and experience you're looking for?
There's like 8 jobs for every applicant at the moment, and
There's not enough applicants.
there's just not enough applicants. We've got 4 recruitment agencies working for us at the moment trying to find people, and it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult to find
We're
the
the same at
skills.
MCC as well, so
Yeah.
it's very much the same, we
Yeah.
struggle taking on.
Yeah. And this is here, right?
Yeah.
So if you go to Seattle, there's Amazon, Microsoft, Symantec, Expedia, the list goes on, right? Google's there, and you can just tell the affluence. I mean, when I went there first in '95, there was one. The Hyatt Hotel was the only high-rise building in this town called Bellevue, which is, just outside of Seattle, and it's now one of the most, luxurious towns I've ever been in my life, and all you see is bloody Teslas and Ferraris. It literally is like that, right? It's just, and I know people and I see them go from Amazon to Microsoft to Amazon to Microsoft, and they just jump back and forward. It's like you'll never be unemployed, like ever. It's be very hard to be unemployed. You've got to be really poor.
This is where the jobs are, and I think there's this statement going around at the moment that children, the current generation, they won't have one job, they won't work for one company for the 40 years before they're retired. That's not going to happen. But they can get these transferable skills and jump from company to company and develop their skills, go back, go forward, and still keep themselves happy, keep themselves motivated, constantly learning. I think that's something key as well. So you need your maths, your computing, your English, your design, and the ability to keep learning. Just speaking about glut of jobs, that's why MTC are working with Dundee and Angus College, because they cannot fill their staff roles. So they've engaged with the college to get their students ready so that MTC can just snatch up the good ones. It's not completely altruistic, that they're doing it for a reason. And these are the pathways that our young people should be looking at, whether it is university, apprenticeship, college, or just straight into a job. The potential is incredible.
There's another area as well, right? So it's one of the things just now is accessibility. So understanding and how people can actually access computers and technology, for partially sighted, etc. So there's a whole field around about accessibility that's massive, and then artificial intelligence as well. So that's robotics. So it's massive. I mean, we're just talking about such a small part of the industry, but it goes right across all of it. So it's not just people writing code, right? It's design, interaction, user experience, QA. Yeah, it's massive.
I went into SEO actually not knowing how to code at all, and now I do it like on a daily basis. And that's the thing as well, you can learn so much on the job as well. I went with sort of digital marketing background, and then I've now specialised in search engine optimisation, and I didn't know how to code a ton straight off with, and now do it.
That's a good point. We've not even touched on the agency side either.
Yeah.
Right.
So
we only have so much time tonight. So there is tea and coffee next door. We have the Code Academy set up with virtual reality, augmented reality, robots, Raspberry Pis, everything. Please go and have a play about with what's there, and come and speak to us individually if you've got more in-depth questions. If you are interested in the School Links course, speak to Laura and about how the college can support your young people. If you are interested in how professionals can support your young people, come and speak to myself and Developing Young Workforce, and we'll see what we can happen. One last thing before you go, we actually have feedback forms, one's for parents and one's for teachers. If I can ask you to grab one of them before you leave and hand it in, that would be absolutely wonderful. It'll only take a second, honestly. And last thing is just to say thank you very much to Cortex Worldwide and to MTC Media for coming in, giving up their staff time and their personal time now since it's after 5. And yeah, encouraging the young people, the next generation, and answering all our very, very many questions. So thank you very much. Yeah.